and ironically enough, very hungry, because I think my body was so full of toxins and feeling like crap that I just wanted to eat food all the time to try and bring that energy up. And to bring that energy up, I was craving sugars and carbs. So today we want to talk about that, because at that time, this is when I was 20 pounds heavier, and me not going to the washroom regularly had a direct correlation with gaining weight and then my efforts in losing weight and how I felt on a daily basis when it came to my energy, my motivation, and then my food choices. So that's what we're talking about today, is Pooping 101. Because now I'm on the other side of that, and I know how amazing it feels to take a poop every day, and how important it was when it came to my weight loss and how I felt, and yeah, just
your overall health.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, and like my overall health and well-being. And so that's what we're gonna be talking about today. So I want you guys to stick around. So Kaylee has a couple questions for you if you're curious if you're regular or not.
So a few questions to always consider about your bowel movements is, how often are you going? So really start to think about it. Are you going once a day? Are you going once every 3 days? Once a week? Twice a day? So ideally what we want to get you up to is to be going 2 to 3 times a day. And it's simple when you think about it. You're eating roughly 3 meals a day. So ideally that will break down, and you should be eliminating about 3 times a day. Now, of course, you're not going to go 3 times every single day, but the goal is 2 to 3 times, okay? And then also, how does it feel when you're going to the bathroom? It shouldn't be a painful, straining experience where you're dropping out little turds. It should be a nice, fluid, smooth elimination where you're not doing a lot of pushing. And then also, gross, I know, but what color is it? Ideally, it is going to be a nice brown color. It can change a little bit if you're eating like a ton of greens, you're eating beets or something like that, which we'll talk about beets a little bit later. But it can change, but in general, it should be a nice brown color. Also, does it smell? So yes, of course it doesn't smell like roses and it's not amazing, but it shouldn't be awful smelling. Just like when you toot, it shouldn't be really, really stinky. That can often mean that you are not breaking your food down properly and that you're having things like ferment and putrefy in your body. So if it smells really rancid, it usually is an indicator that your digestion is off. And then lastly, or I guess this isn't really, kind of goes with what I was saying before, how often is like your transit time. And so that's where I kind of want to talk about the beets. So one way that you can tell how long it's taking you to digest and eliminate your food is do this thing called a transit test. So ideally the food should go through in about 18 to 24 hours. That's the dream. So one thing that you can do is you can actually drink beet juice or like eat a lot of beets in a day and then wait to see when you eliminate and see the color. And if it's like a red. Purple, then that means that it's been eliminated, and you can get an idea. You can write down when you ate the beets and then when you see the color, and then you'll know what your transit time is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really important to know that some people think that they have these like regular poop schedules. They're like, oh, it's normal for me to go every couple days, or it's, you know, it's normal for me to be straining.
My doctor said that's how my body works.
Yeah,
that's
or like, or you have like hard poops, or like little, like, I know when I was constipated, even if I took like a small poop that was like I call like a little rabbit poop, to me that was still constipation. It was like, it's not like, that's still constipation. So if you're taking like a little tiny rabbit poop, which is what I called it, that's constipation. So it's important to know that you need to be going regularly and know your body and tap into it, and then obviously give you some ways to know what's causing it, and then also to fix it, because if you want to feel good and energize and lose weight, you need to be fixing this problem, because it is a problem, because it is toxins in your body. So I know for me at that time, some of the things that was causing it was my diet. So I was eating a lot of dairy at the time. It was when I was like really into personal training with like tons and tons of protein. So I was having like a ridiculous amount of cottage cheese, a lot of protein shakes that were using whey protein. Not
a lot of fiber.
Yeah, not a lot of fiber. And yeah, my protein shakes would literally just be like the powder and then the milk.
Oh.
Yeah, there's sometimes water, which is like, I can't even imagine doing that now. So so that was a huge thing, was like my diet and obviously gluten. So that was a huge effect. But even more importantly, which is something to consider, is that I actually had hypothyroidism that I didn't know about. So when I started to correct my diet, it did help a little bit, but it didn't help completely. So then that's actually one of the big reasons I found out I had hypothyroidism, is because I went to the doctors with massive constipation. Like they were doing tests on me. They were like having to give me enemas. Like
it must have felt so awful.
It was awful. I would actually have to take days off work because it was so painful. Like I tell people, I'm like, I wouldn't even wish it upon my worst enemy to be constipated all the time. It was so painful, and I just felt awful. You literally feel sick. So I do know that hypothyroidism had to do with that. So if you feel like you're doing everything right after we talk about it today and you're still suffering, definitely go get that checked out. But even after I went on thyroid pills, my diet still wasn't on point, and it still was making me constipated. And then that turned into bad bathroom habits. So then I was taking lots of diuretics. I was taking things that would try to like stool softeners, laxatives. I was going for colonics. Like I was kind of desperate, but at the same time, I was making the situation worse. So bad bathroom habit have to do with it, and then stress. So that also became stressful. It was almost like a domino effect, and then that all kept on happening. And I wasn't really focused on my hydration at the time either, not like I am now. Like I am super anal, no pun intended, I didn't mean to do that, about having like 2 to 3 liters of water a day. So and that has a huge impact on that. So that wasn't a focus of mine. At this point in my life, I was actually regularly having like 3 coffees a day with cream in it. So all of these things were having a massive effect on my constipation, above and beyond the hypothyroidism. So even after I did get on the medication and it did help to make me feel a little bit better, I still had these issues that needed to be corrected. And I don't know if you want to go over any other thing.
So a couple of other causes, it can be a result of your medication. So if you're taking specific medications, they often cause frequent constipation. So things like antidepressants, antacids, and I wrote another one down.
Painkillers.
Yeah, calcium and iron supplements. Iron supplements especially are really known for clogging you up a little bit.
Yeah.
Other things like magnesium deficiency is a big one for making you constipated. So magnesium helps for the body to relax, and that includes your colon. So when you're stressed at all and tense, so is your colon. Okay, and you need to be in a relaxed state of mind. So one of the best ways, like things to do in the morning, is to actually get some movement. Mm-hmm. And to, even if it's just go for like a 5-10 minute walk and to get a big amount of water in you, that'll help to get the process started. Mm-hmm. But basically the causes are poor diet, lack of movement, stress, medications, magnesium deficiency, bad bathroom habits, and the lack of good bacteria in the gut, which we will talk about more coming up too.
Yeah. So going into a little bit more of the specific foods, I already touched on dairy, cow's dairy especially, gluten, which everyone that follows us knows that we're pretty passionate about.
Yes.
Eliminating most of the time, not like 110%, like we're super strict or anything like that, but on a day-to-day basis, that's something that has a massive effect on your digestion and your pooping schedule. So those 2 things, and then alcohol. So alcohol can have a huge effect on that. Another thing I was regularly doing at this time of my life was drinking. I was younger and going to the bars a lot. And yeah, that also can have a massive effect on it.
It's dehydrating you as you drink it. So it's pulling all the hydration out. That's why it's going to cause it.
Yeah, and the gluten. Like I was a big beer drinker.
Right, yep.
So the gluten, it was just like more gluten adding into my diet. So that had a good one. And then we also have down here
fried foods.
Yeah,
they're going to clog you up. And then also just like the empty calorie foods. So processed sugar-filled junk. So when you think about like chips, crackers, cereals, of course there's healthier versions. But in like the empty calorie type of foods, it's not going to do anything. It's not giving you fiber or omegas or anything that's going to help get your stuff moving. So it's going to actually slow down the process and make you constipated.
Yeah. So sure, once in a while, if you want to have those things, that's awesome. But if you're regularly having all of these foods we just explained, even if it's like, oh, it's just the tiniest bit for a snack, it's going to have an effect on your digestion. It's going to have effect on how regular you are. And then ultimately that's going to have effect on your well-being, your health, and your efforts to lose weight.
So there are some steps, some really easy steps that you can do every day to make sure you become more regular. So we're just going to kind of go over 3, and then we will definitely add in a few more tips and stuff like that as well. So one of the big things we were just talking about is hydration. So hydration is really important because it's keeping everything moving, and it also is encouraging peristalsis. So basically what that is, it's happening inside of your tummy, and it's like these wave-like movements that are going through, and it's breaking down your food, and it's getting it to go from the stomach to the small intestine, and then all the way through to the large intestine. So in order for those wave-like motions to happen, to continually break down that food over and over again, you need the water to keep it going. So 2 to 3 liters of water every day, not negotiable. It's got to be done if you're constipated.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Think of it as lubricant.
Yeah.
It's like lubricant for your digestion.
Which we are going to touch on as another point.
Yep.
So the next one we have is fiber. So increasing your fiber is so important. It's going to add bulk to your stool, okay? Making sure that you're getting a good mixture of soluble and insoluble fiber. So things like chia seeds, hemp hearts, and flaxseed are amazing fibers. And then obviously like your fresh fruit, veggies, green, leafy greens, your whole grains, your quality whole grains, things like that. And it's, I think there was another thing I wanted to, it's just going to allow for a faster transit time. So that's kind of one of the things to do. But to know that when you're increasing your fiber, don't just go from a person that hardly eats any fiber to like consuming all the fiber. You need to do it slowly and introduce it, daily a little bit more. And then while you're doing that, making sure you're increasing the water. So they have to go together, fiber and water. You've got to have lots of both of those. And then what you had just said was with the lubrication is getting enough healthy fats. And you know that Ashley and I are obsessed with healthy fats, and it's going to help keep you regular. So things like avocado, nuts and seeds, the chia, and all those things that I had just said, and coconut oil are going to be great ways to get that lubrication.
Yeah, a lot of people say when they have the bulletproof coffee in the morning, like our kind of version of the bulletproof coffee with like the coconut oil and stuff in it, that all of a sudden they have to go to the bathroom really bad. And it's because it's actually like, not only is the caffeine kind of stimulating your colon, but also it's lubricating it and helping to push it out.
So those are the 3 main steps. So it's getting your water in, increasing your fiber, and then increasing your amount of healthy fats. There are some other things that you can do as well. So if you're struggling with fiber too, you can always take a supplement. The brand that I have on hand is by Renew Life. I think it's Renew Life. Yeah. So just make sure you go and look for a quality fiber supplement. I would go to the health food store and talk to somebody about specific ones for you, as opposed to going maybe into the health section at one of the grocery stores, because they have good quality and not so good quality products when it comes to that. And then taking a digestive enzyme can be really, really helpful. With bloating and with everything. But if you take a digestive enzyme before you eat, it's just going to make it, the process of breaking down the food, that much easier. Your body has to work less, and it's going to make that transition a lot quicker for you. And exercise, like we said earlier, exercise, getting your body moving, just that up-down movement, getting your heart rate up, it's going to get everything flowing nice. And we talked about the essential fatty acids, talking about creating time to go to the bathroom. And I think you probably know more about this because you struggled and you had to make it into a daily thing of finding the time. I'm sure now it's effortless.
Yeah, it is
but
effortless.
When you were constipated, finding the time.
You know what? I can't say that was a focus of mine, but I do know that when it became part of my routine, it just became so much easier.
Yeah.
Like part of my morning routine.
So we talked a little bit about stress. So if you wake up in the morning, you're running late, you're drinking your coffee, which isn't water, and you're running around like a crazy person, you're not even thinking about having to go poop, you're out the door. And for me personally, like if my routine is mixed up, if I have to leave the house before I've had time, it can throw me off for the day, and then I might not go. But if I can get my normal pooping in the morning, then everything goes a lot smoother. So creating the time, so getting up, chugging that water, maybe having your tea, going for a little walk around your house, and then just sitting down and hanging out. Sometimes you just literally got to sit there and wait for it to come. Yeah. And then what is that thing called? The Squatty Potty. The Squatty Potty?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
I think it's called the Squatty Potty. With like the unicorn that poos out like sherbet ice cream or something.
So basically, we all sit wrong. Toilets were designed wrong. You should be kind of in more of a squat position. So your knees, I don't know if you can see, should actually be up a little bit more. So if you don't have a Squatty Potty, which most of us don't, and most of us don't want to spend the money on that, get a stack of books. And I know this sounds ridiculous, but just it's a couple inches just to lift your feet up.
Yeah.
And that's going to actually help your body get into a position where it'll more naturally come out.
Yeah. They had that actually when I used to go for colonics. They had that.
Oh, did they?
Literally go for colonic and they had a bathroom right there for you to use. And they had the Squatty Potty in it it just more encouraged that to come out. So
nice.
Yeah. And a couple other tricks that I was doing, suggested by the naturopath at the time. is I had castor oil that I would put on my stomach, and I would actually rub it around in the motion of your intestines, that the poo's supposed to move through your intestines. So I would start on the bottom right, and then I would come up around my rib cage and then go down to the left. And I'd keep on doing that motion. And then I actually wrapped my stomach in saran wrap after. I know this sounds like super bizarre, but it worked. So, and I didn't have to do it for this long, so he told me to do it at nighttime. So the castor oil is supposed to penetrate your skin a little bit more and then actually get into your intestines and help to lubricate. So I would start with that. I'd saran wrap, and I would just like watch a show, like just hanging out with that on for about like 20-30 minutes. And then while I was doing that, I would have like a tablespoon or two of ground flaxseed, not flax seeds, ground flaxseed in a cup of water, or warm water. So I'd boil it, I'd put it in there, and then I'd stir it.
Like a tea.
Yeah, and I'd let it settle, and it would kind of poof up a little bit. So it's like all this amazing fiber. So I'd have like these 3 things I would do at nighttime, and then that helped to get me on a more regular routine of going in the morning. So then I would wake up and I'd be like, ooh, ooh, and I could feel it happening. And then so those are 3 tips that I know that really helped me. And then the probiotics were massive.
Yes.
And changing my diet. I mean, no matter how many tricks and tools I do, you're just putting a Band-Aid on top of it unless you change your diet. So you have to make sure that you know what your triggers are as well, which can be individual.
One thing I just wanted to add, when you talked about the flax, you want to buy flax seeds whole and grind them yourself, because once they've been ground, they start to, just like when you're making juice, they start to lose their nutritional like potency essentially. So you want to buy them whole, and then you can just use like a coffee grinder or anything, grind up what you would use maybe for about a week. It's fine for about 5 days to a week in the fridge, but you don't want to leave it longer than that. I used to spend so much money on pre-ground flax, only to find out in school that they're like, no, you just wasted your money. I'm like, oh. So I just wanted to share that.
I didn't know that. Thank you for that tip.
Yeah. So I just don't want you to waste your money, and I want you to get the best quality, right? So if you can grind it yourself, even better.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then what she talked about with the probiotics. So probiotics is good for everything, and we could easily do a Facebook Live just on probiotics. But making sure that you have the good bacteria in your body, and remember that the fiber that you're consuming is actually feeding the good bacteria in your stomach. So they go really hand in hand. And the more probiotics that you have in your body, the better you're going to have with your constipation, with bloating, with every part of you, including your energy levels. I think we should do one just on probiotics. Because I'm obsessed with them.
And we get a lot of questions about it, so we should.
Yeah.
Coming up.
Yes, noted. Where were we? I think we were talking about foods, right?
Oh yeah, and some prunes.
Yeah, prunes and figs.
Yeah.
Cliche, but cliche for a reason.
Yeah. And my suggestion with the prunes too, I actually did start eating prunes and dates at that time. I didn't even think I liked them. And then somebody I was working with at the time, who we still train, his wife actually, suggested in his culture that they actually put a little bit of almond butter or peanut butter in it. Oh. And so I started doing that because it helps so your blood sugar doesn't spike so much, because it is higher in sugar. So then I would have that, if I didn't put it in like a smoothie or something, I would literally just have it as a snack. Kind of nice too after dinner with it for like a little bit of sweetness. And I'd put almond butter or peanut butter either directly on top, or like kind of like cut a sliver in it and then put it inside. And then that makes it so you're not getting all these sugar spikes, because it's good to have these food, but if you have them all the time on their own, then you're just gonna be possibly spiking your sugar and potentially gaining weight, which is what we're trying to avoid. So if you want to have them on their own and not put them in a meal like a homemade muffin or a smoothie or whatever, just try and add a little bit of healthy fat into it.
And that's like the perfect way, and hence why we do the green juice every day, because it has tons of fiber, tons of fiber in it. And that's why we're always pushing the healthy fats. It's not just to help you poop, but because they have so many incredible benefits across the board. And another thing too is like warming liquids actually do help speed up the process of digestion. So having your warm water with lemon in the morning is going to help speed up the digestion and get that process going. Remember, super cold drinks stop or slow down, I guess you should say, digestion. So always, if you're having problems, go with the warming liquids as opposed to the cold.
Yeah.
Okay. And now we can move on to, what do we got? Oh, we were just going to talk about some natural supplements that you can take. We do have a list of stuff that we're sending out in the weekly email.
Yes. Yeah. So I can put a link above after. I actually didn't add it, but if you sign up for our newsletter, which if you're on it, awesome. But if you're not, I'll put the link up and make sure you sign up for it. We're going to be sending out like some tips and tricks that for the things that we didn't cover today. So if you don't have to
and
write
a bunch of
this
stuff
down,
we did cover too.
Yeah, and
it's
stuff
all
that we
laid
did
out there for
cover.
you.
So that way, if you have any of these issues and you're really struggling with your energy, your weight loss, all that kind of stuff, just feeling good, make sure that you sign up so that we can send this to you.
Yeah. So we won't go a ton into the natural supplements. You can kind of read the stuff that we put up and you can look into it yourself. But some of the best ones that they're suggesting is, and like we said, is the chia seeds and flax seeds. And then psyllium husks is a big one. So it's super high in fiber and helpful in forming your stool. And it's actually a fiber that's like some people struggle with fiber because it's too like scratchy on their digestive system and they actually get really bloated and it causes a whole bunch of more issues. So if you're sensitive to fiber, psyllium husks is the way to go. I don't actually know a ton about them, but if you go to the local health food store, they'll for sure be able to help you out with that.
Yeah, I actually at the time, sorry to interrupt, at the time I was really constipated before I went like really gluten-free. I was getting a cereal by Nature's Path, which is an amazing brand, and it was just called psyllium fiber. And so it looked like those, it looked like almost like rabbit food or bird food or whatever. And I would literally just have a bowl of that with some almond milk on top. And that really helped to bulk my stool.
And they're I have some of their Power O's. They're so good.
Yeah.
So good. And then having like an omega-3 supplement is something that for brain health, heart health, for everything you should be taking. We could probably also do a Facebook Live on that. But again, remember the omega-3s are going to help with the lubrication and letting you eliminate better. And then again, we talked about magnesium being really important, so you can supplement with that. It all depends dosage-wise on what the bottle says. So we're never going to recommend a dosage because each product or whoever the brand is going to have a different dosage. So follow with that. And aloe vera juice can actually be really helpful too. It helps reduce inflammation and improve the frequency of bowel movements. Take a quarter of a cup twice daily and then adjust the amount based on the symptoms and how you're feeling.
Yeah. Oh, and I wanted to touch on the magnesium too, because you're reminding me. At the time I was doing the castor oil and like the wrapping and stuff before bed, it was suggested that I have magnesium before bed. And so he specifically suggested magnesium citrate because there's a whole bunch of different kinds of magnesium. Yep. So I was having magnesium citrate, and he said basically work your way up to the point that you feel relaxed, but you don't get diarrhea. So you don't want to get so high. Obviously, you might want to talk to a doctor about it, but you don't want to get so high that it starts to relax it so much that you're having diarrhea, because that's not the goal. But you definitely, I found taking it at nighttime also relaxed me for bed. So
super. Yeah, it's amazing at night.
Yeah, so it was really nice to have at nighttime, and so I would have that magnesium citrate, and I found I got up to a certain amount that was like just the right amount for me that would help with elimination, but without causing diarrhea.
Yeah, because if you do find that you get diarrhea, don't freak out. Just know that you would take a dosage back a little bit till you find that perfect balance for you. Because everybody's going to be different, right? You could be different in 6 months than you are now.
Exactly.
So it's always just kind of a guesstimate of what you should be taking.
Yeah, like now because my poo's normal, I would probably get diarrhea a lot quicker taking that.
I honestly think back to I now am very regular, and it's amazing how good you feel. You know, and every single person, you're lying if you say I don't feel great after I take a big poop. You're lying, because it's the best feeling in the world. And when you don't have it, you feel so heavy and tired and lethargic and brain foggy. And love you guys.
Hey, Jen.
Thank you. We were kind of hoping maybe you guys would engage with letting us know how your pooping is, so we weren't the only ones having to share.
Not a lot of people want to talk about your poop.
We didn't think we would get a lot of comments today.
Yeah,
we might get some private messages though. I bet we get lots of those after.
We sit down in a class full of women, and while we're stretching, everyone's happy to talk about poo, but they're just not happy to talk about it online. But but that's okay. But yeah, so it's very important, and we hope that this is helpful, and please reach out to us if you feel like chatting a little bit more. But yeah, if you're not pooping regularly, like 1 to a couple times a day, then you need to check in with some of these tips. Maybe watch your foods, maybe try some of the supplements, make sure you're hydrated, get moving, all that good stuff.
Yeah, increase the fiber, increase the water, and increase the essential fatty acids. Yeah. That's the biggest 3.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks so much for popping on here, guys. Happy Friday. And make sure, once again, you sign up for the email link, which I'll put up there as soon as I get home, so you guys can sign up for our newsletter if you haven't already, and we'll send you all this awesome stuff. I'm taking a lot of your tips. I've started the probiotics and omegas. Oh, amazing.
Oh, that's perfect.
That's great.
And it's, like I said, it's not just like the probiotics and the omegas are good for just this. They're literally good for overall health in every way. And especially with the omegas, I get so excited because they're so good for brain health.
Yes.
And heart health.
Yeah.
And it's like literally the two most important parts of your body, well, and your gut.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
those are amazing supplements to be taking. Those are two of the ones that I recommend to every single client across the board is going to be probiotics and omega-3. Yeah. Always.
And it's really good at reducing inflammation, which you will have a lot of inflammation when you're constipated. So, and that's really important too. And are you seeing a difference in your results yet, Tanisha? 3 to 4 liters of water a day. Thanks for all the info. Our pleasure. Wow, 4 liters is a lot. Make sure you don't drink too much. But hey, if you're sweating a lot and you feel like you need it, go for it if that feels okay for you. But yeah, you don't need to go too much.
That's awesome though. I love hearing that you incorporated those into your daily routine. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's so awesome. We thought this would be a good follow-up to last week because we talked about digestion and how important that was. And then so today we thought specifically we would focus on constipation because I would say most women are.
Mostly everybody is, and it's one of those things that until you become regular, sometimes you don't realize that you're constipated. Yeah. Until you start to feel that light feeling and the satisfaction of going 2 to 3 times a day.
You don't realize.
No, and then once you get that, you're like, I'm never going back to the way that it used to be. Ever again. Like, it's that awful feeling when you can feel it. And just when you think about poop being inside of you, backed up and going into, like, your small, like, it can even, like, leak through into the small intestine, you know, and start to, like, get out and spread. It's just... You want to get it out. It's already done its job. Once it's poop, there's no nutrients left. All of those nutrients are gone. They're already in your bloodstream and they're being used and absorbed. So now it's time to get rid of the waste.
Yeah. Tanisha said, going more regularly now, not twice like you said, but once. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And what were you like before, Tanisha, if you don't mind saying? Were you more like every couple days or?
I think the longest I heard is I know a girl that she goes about once every 10 days. Like, I literally wanted to cry for her. And she's like, my doctor said that that's normal for me.
Oh
no,
my God.
It's not normal. Yeah. It is not normal.
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
No, and I'm not trying to say it to be mean in a way of like, you're not normal.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're going to feel so much better. And like, that's just not right.
It's more about how you feel. And it's incredible how motivating that can be when it comes to making good food choices. Like I can make a good food choice on the fact alone that I want to have good digestion once every 3 days. So that's a massive improvement.
Yeah, wow. That's
amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah, so you can be motivated as alone just by how you feel. Like eating healthy doesn't have to be about weight loss. When it becomes more about how you feel and your general health and well-being, it is way more motivating and way more has more longevity. Yeah. So when you realize how good you feel going to the bathroom more regularly, when you realize how good you feel working out more regularly, having water more regularly, that alone is your motivation to keep on going. And then weight loss is just an awesome byproduct.
A bonus. Looking fantastic is a bonus.
Yeah.
But one thing to think about if you're like, well, who cares if I poop once every 3 days? Think about everything that you've eaten in 3 days and just leaving it on your counter and just leaving it there for 3 days. Would you want to eat it and put it in your body when it's been sitting not in the fridge, not prepared, just sitting there going bad? No. So why would you want it sitting inside of your body for that long?
Yeah.
You know, like it's gross.
It is gross. When I think back to how constipated I was, and I was so freaking tired because of all the toxins in my body. Like I was just so tired and then hungry, which is like the opposite of what you should be when you're that bunged up. And it sounds gross, but I could actually like touch my stomach and feel the poo in it. It's gross. It's almost like I tried to like move it up and around. Like it was so gross. Yeah, and now I feel so much better. Like I don't even, like I said earlier, I don't even wish that pain, that tiredness, the feeling sick. Like I don't wish it upon my worst enemy. It was horrible.
And also, thank you for sharing with us how often you poop. That was very brave, and we appreciate it. We didn't think anybody would come forward. So you're there with us. You're being honest, and we really appreciate your feedback.
Yeah,
and knowing that it's helping.
Yeah.
So you're giving other people encouragement to know that it's working and that they can do the same thing and see the same results.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Yeah, thank you very much, Tanisha.
If you guys do have any questions over the next 24 hours, make sure you ask them. We'll be more than happy to get back to you. If you're a little embarrassed, private message us. That's fine, too. We totally understand. It's kind of an awkward topic. We're just weirdly open.
Yeah. I get really happy talking about pooing and sex. You
can't talk about nutrition. Yeah. Pooing and sex at the same time? Yeah.
No, but earlier when you said there's nothing better, nothing feels better than taking a poo, in my head I'm like, yeah, there is. Yeah. Pooing comes come second.
But guess what? You don't want to have sex when you're constipated.
No, it's not very motivating. No, you feel disgusting.
You're like, what if something just sneaks out?
And your farts smell awful, and you just feel gross when you're constipated.
This is so embarrassing. When I first, before I started doing all the things that I do when I first moved out this way, I was working at my restaurant at the waterfront. The girls would make fun of me, and they'd call them my chickpea farts. Because my farts were so bad. Like, I just stunk.
Yeah.
Like, so, and I was like, I don't know, this is just, and then once I actually started taking probiotics was the biggest one. Once I started taking that, and then figuring it was kind of like bothering my stomach and making me bloated, my farts really don't smell.
I know.
Like, I'm not embarrassed. I'm like, I could just keep walking and no one's going to know that.
Yeah.
But it's made a huge difference. And you don't have to have that embarrassed feeling of like, if I go to the bathroom, it's going to reek, or if I fart, it's going to reek. Because it won't smell as bad. So that's also motivation.
Yeah, it is motivation. But you know what I do miss? Because my farts don't really smell that much anymore. Is I do miss being in public and then making people think that Matt is the one that farted. Because they were so gross. I can't believe I'm talking about this. But they were so gross. They're like, there's no way that came out of that little girl. Like, they would immediately look at Matt like he's disgusting.
Like, I remember one time Justin's like, I'm sleeping on the couch. Like, you just actually smell. But that was, again, about 3 years ago, and I've never looked back since. I don't have that issue anymore. Yeah. Of course, once in a while, things are going to get smelly. Something doesn't digest right, and it's sitting in your stomach weird, and everybody has different reactions to different foods all the time. But for the most part, in general, it shouldn't be a super stinky thing. And there are different, like, poop types. And did you attach that on the...
Not yet, but I will.
Okay.
I'm going to be sending it out tomorrow.
Okay, so we are going to put a chart on the email that's coming out with the 7 kinds of poop. And I think it's number 4 is one that you want. They're called the foot-long floaters, is ideally. You don't want it floating on top, but you don't want it sinking. It should be just kind of floating in the middle of the water. So, like, you don't want rabbit turds. You don't want diarrhea. You want in between the foot-long footer. Think of a nice O. Henry bar going in.
You want to finish the bathroom and be like, oh, like you're so proud of it. You almost want to bring people in to show them. To be like, that just came out of me.
Check what I just did.
And I feel amazing.
My digestion is on point. Look at that.
And you feel like you honestly feel like you just lost a pound or 2 just from...
Oh, you probably did.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
anyways, we got off on a tangent there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so again, ask us any questions if you guys want, private message us, whatever you want to do. Hopefully this helped.
Yeah, and make today badass.
Have a good poop this weekend.
Yeah,
we'll see you later.
Let us know about it. Happy Friday.